Markets had a nice little bounce back today on the back of some not so great news. So let's take a look at what's going on. The Dow jumped 435 points today, up 1.33%. The S&P up 1.54%. The NASDAQ up 2.69% at 322 points. Nice little day for the NASDAQ. So what was this all about? What was this rebound about? A lot of it technical buying of the dip that we've had recently and the little negative downside, but really no big news to spur the rebound. Could just be setting up for the next leg down. Oftentimes you get a nice little bounce before the next leg down. And we had, again, news that should have contributed to more downside versus upside today. Fed Vice Chair Lael Brainerd said it's very hard to see the case for the Fed pausing rate hikes. She came out and said that they are going to do whatever they have to do to get inflation under control, and that right now it's very hard to see a cause for a pause. She said on CNBC today that another 50 basis points is in the cards, and that they are certainly going to do what is necessary to bring inflation back down. That's their number one challenge right now. They are starting from a position of strength. The economy has a lot of momentum. So that's the type of statement that normally would have led to a little bit of a sell-off. And it kind of did early when her statement came out this morning. The markets were down a little bit, and they came back and rebounded on the news, out of the Fed. And, nothing else really major going on. Jobs came in a little bit cooler than anticipated. Wage inflation is still an issue, putting a lot of pressure on companies and earnings out there. So again, the news that came out today on jobs and on the Fed action should have caused negative downside, which it did initially, and then the markets bounced back. So let's take a look at Bitcoin here real quick. There's a little bit of a pattern developing that we've seen before. We saw this, whatever you want to call it, bear flag, rising channel. If you're going with the closing or the wicks, you could call it a wedge. A lot of different people were calling this a lot of different things. I always like to use the closes. But anyways, seems like we have something similar kind of playing out here. Again, I've gone with the closes. You could go with the wicks if you want to, and just create all kinds of different looking things here. Bottom line is price is kind of trending in a direction similar to what we saw here, and then similar ultimately to this major channel that everyone was watching last year as Bitcoin. Hang on, let me get this little pattern here. As Bitcoin was in this channel right here over the last year, kind of right through this area with price action. You could call this, we were looking at this parallel channel last year on Bitcoin going all the way back over through here. My internet's having a little delay today. Right in this area, this big macro parallel channel that Bitcoin's been in. So we got a lot of things going on here with Bitcoin in terms of this range that it's in now. And then of course, the big thing to watch, like I said, this is the daily, essentially just put in another lower high. So you have high and you have these lower highs as you're working your way down here. And right now, as far as the base, we are watching this line closely at 28,000. Again, it's all about the close. So there's your line in the sand right there at about 28,565, in that range that you don't want to see Bitcoin break below. If it does, then you can potentially look for more downside. How much downside? Really no telling. Next stop is 24,000. Then again, back to that $20,000 range. And then let's take a look at the altcoins, see how they're shaping up. Power is out where I'm at, so internet has a little bit of a delay. I'm running off of my cell phone right now, internet, but you can see Ethereum starting to unwind. And again, there's a good case that Ethereum could wind up back around that $600, $700 level. Avalanche doing the same thing, down around the $24 level right now, could easily work its way back down to about $6, $7, depending on what continues to happen. And we've been talking about this for a while. Solana kind of unwinding its move over the last year as well, last 18 months, back to that $1.90. You can just go through all of the altcoins, and there'll be some isolated cases where the altcoins will spike and go on these random runs. But in general, right now, the Fed has to get inflation under control. They're not going to reverse or pivot anytime soon. And the housing market, they have to get that under control. I'm going to make a video on the housing market here in the United States and Canada in terms of what we're seeing there with interest rates, things like that. But with the Fed unwinding the balance sheet, continuing to raise interest rates at the next couple of meetings, we have the next inflation report out. We can just continue to expect more downward pressure, more unwinding of what the Fed has pumped into the market and the economy. No big moves on Bitcoin right now. Again, that $28,500 level is a big one to watch. And for any upside continuation, you got to get above, Bitcoin has to get above 40,000. The rest of the market is going to go with it as Bitcoin continues to absorb liquidity from all of the altcoins. You'll see dominance rise while the altcoins continue to drop. And yes, they can go down, as we saw, another 70, 80% from here. Bitcoin can go down another 30, 40% from here, which would be an 85%, 75 to 85% drawdown, which we've seen Bitcoin do in the past. So these are the things I'm looking at for today, and I will see you on the next video.